The German pilot who crashed a plane into the French Alps last week told his supervisors 6 years ago about his severe depression, the airline says.
The crash killed pilot Andreas Lubitz and 150 people on board. The fact that Lufthansa officials were aware of Lubitz's depression is raising more questions about the airline's screening process for pilots. And tonight, an aviation expert here in the Chicago area is asking why there is no national database to help keep track of pilot suicides. Our Larry Yellen has the story.
Kind of gave up pushing on it back then because nobody wanted to listen.
But now, with questions about the suicidal tendencies of German co-pilot Andreas Lubitz, David Cook hopes people will listen. Cook flew 22 years for United Airlines. He now runs the Center for Airmanship Excellence out of St. Charles. 12 years ago, he wrote a book in which he called pilot suicide an airline accident looking for a place to happen.
The stressors are really intense on pilots.
Cook says pilots, like everyone else, face domestic issues at home and problems making ends meet. But pilots, he claims, must cope with even greater stress due to fatigue and travel. Yet nobody, he says, is keeping tabs on how many pilots attempt or commit suicide, either in a plane or while off the clock. You think figures like that would help?
Well, anytime you're going to try to fix a problem, all the data that you can get is really good.
Incidents like the crash in the Alps make note of pilot suicides, Cook says. But if a pilot takes his life in his living room, there's no obligation to report it. The FAA focuses on pilots who are still flying. A spokesperson telling me today the FAA medical application form includes questions pertaining to the mental health of the pilot. All existing physical and psychological conditions and medications must be disclosed. The agency sees no need for a suicide database.
I think it's just pure logic. If the more data we have, the better informed everybody is and the better we can do to solve the problem.
Pilots do undergo a medical exam with an FAA-approved doctor every 6 or 12 months, depending on their age. They can be fined if they're caught lying. Cook says those checkups ought to include an in-depth psychological examination.
Larry Yellen reporting in the newsroom. Thank you, Larry.